So for me to trust someone else, it's knowing that I'm being heard.
Yeah.
So for anyone that I talk to, it's like, what does it take to um, reach out in such a way that you feel like I'm listening to what you're saying?
Mhm.
And that's where it all starts.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Yollab Central. Today I'm joined by Brian. And Brian, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about our conversation today?
Well, I'm a man and I screw up all the time, and I'm a Christian and I'm working to be a better man, a better husband, and a better father.
Mhm. So, so on this journey of becoming a better version of yourself, where did this start? Because everybody has some point at which they feel that this is not working out, and we need to get going and get a better version of ourselves. So, what was that point for you?
Well, that's a great way to start it. It's like you get right down to the point, don't you? That's good. As um I've spent a lot of time in life just being perfect
Mhm.
and being awesome and being like, wow, Brian is something special.
Yeah.
But underneath that, I was hiding shame, fear, guilt. I
Mhm.
was hiding a secret sin. And once I got caught in that sin and that came out, my life was over
Yeah.
because my life was only those masks that I wore,
Mhm.
perfect and awesome and wonderful. And deep inside, I wasn't complete. I was incomplete.
Okay.
And that started me on the journey going, okay, I'm so successful
Mhm.
and I don't feel so great because this wasn't a match for what was inside my heart, what was inside my mind, inside my unconscious.
So, so Brian, socially, every person, every man, as we can say, is looked at basically as with what they are achieving in life, right? I assume you also agree to that for a man, it's more about what they've achieved, what they've been achieving, and how's life going on for them. Everything on the outside. But for somebody to come out and say that everything is perfect for me in my life, but still it's not working out for me. How can you come to that conclusion? There must be a tipping point to that. Everything looks good from up front, but then how is it? Feel that sometimes. I agree with you, but then where do you see that tipping point?
Yeah, I think for me it was isolation. One of my mentors since then in mastermind says isolation is the enemy.
Mhm.
And what I was doing, what I was forming and creating myself was I've got this secret. I'm gonna make a show and nobody will see the secret.
Mhm.
But if I take this show and I attract people and I get close to them and conversation with them and really get to know them, they're going to know my secret. And then all my acting will fall apart. It'll break down. And that's what it did
Mhm.
when it came out. But if we can identify that without having a catastrophe strike us in life and go,
Yeah.
well, what's the cause of me feeling alone? And it's loneliness, right? Isolation's a safer word for us successful, accomplishing men,
Yeah.
but recognizing that it's isolation, I'm hiding something, I'm not connected with people. If I could have been where I was and well connected with a bunch of peers and friends,
Yeah.
uh, I would have gotten through it. So recognizing I I know
Mhm.
everybody know there's something in your life. Everybody has something in their life. It's like, yeah, that's not the best part of me. And sometimes that's in worldly terms, sometimes that's bigger or smaller
Mhm.
in the world. In godly terms, it doesn't matter the size of it. It's sin. And I'm a strong Christian and
Mhm.
that's kind of the platform that I work under now.
Okay. Now, when you mention isolation, there's something I read on the internet. I don't know if it's true, but then scientists have said that isolation is as deadly as smoking, I think, 7 cigarettes a day. So that's how difficult it can get if you're isolated. But generally, I mean, in usual cases, when somebody is successful, they're surrounded by people. Okay, they're either working with them or they are some colleague, some sort of client or some sort of friend. And in some capacity, people are always surrounded. They could have a family, but then again, this isolation still is there. How to overcome this isolation? Because when it comes to isolation, there are very few people that men usually reach out to. They have their very specific set of friends. In most cases, you have a bunch of handful or one or two friends that you want to go out to. How do you help your friends and your followers in doing so?
Right. I do coaching and I lead and facilitate mastermind groups. And
Mhm,
that's the best way. I've been using social media to connect with people
mhm.
and just be on the lookout for like one of the guys I'm in conversation with right now. It's like, I need more Christian friends. I'm
Okay.
like, perfect. We've got a round table where we meet every week and we
Mhm,
just bring together. It's it's coined as a round table, so
mhm.
it's not a water cooler
Yeah.
chat or a
Yeah.
copy room chat. It's
Mhm.
trying to go like you're going with the questions here. It's trying to go below the surface,
Yeah.
below that mask into that person,
Mhm.
and just connecting in a safe place. Christian is supposed to be safe,
Mhm.
but it's yet being challenged. And then from there, our mastermind groups, mastermind is a word that's just overused and overabused.
Yeah.
And there's so many definitions of it. For me, a mastermind is a group of highly motivated individuals that come together on
Mhm.
a regular basis
Mhm.
to encourage, challenge, and assist one another.
Mhm.
For Kingdom Family Leader, which is the movement that I'm running, that's
Okay.
8 men that
Okay.
come together every week to
Mhm.
say, this is my crap and this is my win.
Yeah.
And what do I do now? And being in a group of people that really, it's like a board of directors for life, or for people who have no friends, some of the leaders get up there and they're like, I can't be friends with anybody. They won't look up to me. Well,
Mhm.
the fact is, they will look up to you and honor you more on a friend level.
Yeah.
But it's safer to do it outside of the workplace, outside of your
Mhm.
normal walks, your normal space, and that mastermind does that. It's just and it's powerful.
Now, this mastermind group that you is now my understanding. I mean, when we make friendships, there is something that we look for in common in most cases when we have a friend group, right? Now, when you say that you create a group of 8 men, okay, I'm assuming you have several groups of eight men coming together at different points in a week.
Right.
So how do you curate this group? Because sometimes there might be different age groups, there might be different professions, they might be at different stages of life. So, how do you deal with it? Because, I mean, when a regular guy goes out to look for friends, okay, they're either his college mates, they're either work colleagues, or probably they go out to play together a sport, and there they
Right.
make that
Yes.
connection. You mentioned that you have Christianity holding the group together, right? Uh, but what else? I mean, what is
Right.
holding the group together?
Yeah, it's kingdom family leaders, and kingdom is God's kingdom. And so family leaders differentiates that. So it's men
Mhm.
who are married,
Okay.
have children,
Okay.
and they're maybe a business owner or a leader in business. And sometimes I've found that some of the best leaders in business may not have a title
Yeah.
that indicates they're a leader. They
Hmm.
may be just, I'm showing up
Yeah.
fully. And I like to coin that or make that I'm showing up as a full Christian
Hmm.
without preaching, just by my actions at
Yeah.
work. And I can be a leader. I had a contract a few years ago where my leader was, he was great, but he was a little bit soft-spoken.
Okay.
And I could have easily come in and been the I'm taking leadership here just by how I act.
Yeah.
But as a leader in my mind, in a place where I'm in a position of following, is to lift him up and push him up. So I acted as a leader by inflating is a bad word because that seems like a falseness to it, by encouraging
Yeah.
and promoting my leader to become a better leader. And our whole team thrived from it.
Um, can you just share some crazy story from that has probably come out from one of these uh, groups? If you have something very specific in mind that people would be like, wow. I mean, just having a friend group can do something like that.
It can, and it's really key that when you get there, like you said, how do you get these guys and how do they get to know each other? And it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. We come in with I trust Brian because he's the leader.
Mhm.
We come in with I'm a Christian and these guys are supposed to be Christian and trustworthy and good men.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a Christian to be a good man.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bad Christians or bad people that call themselves Christians. So the first guy I started my first mastermind group with in 2015 and was working as a software contractor in a company and helping me facilitate one of the groups that we were leading at the time.
Okay.
And he was working hard and working hard and working hard, and he was trading hours for dollars. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that, but for him, it got to a point where he could see his value increasing,
Mhm.
but not his income
Yeah.
because he was so valuable. He was such a leader in that company. And in Mastermind, the reason I said all that stuff about getting to know and trust each other is we know each other's money.
Mhm.
My parents never shared their money with me, even as an adult. Even when I was getting married, I asked them questions about how much did we make back when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
when I marry this woman who has 3 kids, what's our finances going to look like?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like I was growing up? So in Mastermind, we share everything.
Mhm.
And sometimes we don't because those are blind spots to us.
Yeah.
But as brothers in Mastermind, it's our job to say, hey, is this a blind spot for you? Do you see this part of what you're doing? He didn't have a lot of blind spots. Well, he maybe had one. He didn't realize his potential.
Mhm.
And through the mastermind process, through the friendship, through us knowing his numbers and where he was at as a business person, his skills as a software engineer, um, within 3 years, he bought the company he was working for.
That's amazing.
So they had 5 developers. I think they have about 10 developers now. They
Mhm.
had one client, and now they have multiple clients. He's building products in
Yeah.
software where originally he was just helping this big company
Yeah.
build their own software. So now he's building something
Mhm.
that's reusable, resellable, scalable in
Yeah.
his thing. And that's just like, wow, that was I just talked to him recently. It's like, what's going on, Scott? How are things? So even though he's not helping me lead masterminds or in my mastermind right now, he's in other ones
Yeah.
because he sees the value and the power of men coming together, or men and women coming together. That's my long vision, really, is you need a mastermind to get 1 million people
Yeah.
to participate, facilitate, lead, and form mastermind groups
Mhm.
because there's power in us coming together. And I know there's a lot of social media going on, but half of that's fake.
Yeah.
Do we use it in mastermind? Yeah, we do.
Um, so since you've already mentioned that you use social media in your mastermind groups, how are you using it? I wanted to talk about brotherhood, but then let's do it after this one. So can you share what you are particularly, uh, how is it, how is your use of social media in your mastermind groups different from the everyday use of social media?
So a lot of mastermind groups, and not mine in particular, use social media groups, Facebook groups
Okay.
as a platform for their members to communicate and be connected.
Mhm.
Um, One of the groups I'm in now uses circle.so, which is
Okay.
basically a Facebook. It looks like Facebook,
Mhm.
but it's their own private little container. So it doesn't
Okay.
have the ads and things. For me, as a with the current mastermind space that we're in, I'm involved in 10 different Christian men's
Mhm.
Facebook groups.
Okay.
And I go in there on a regular basis and I look for areas about community and coming together and sexual sin and sin challenges. And I speak to that in a genuine way and try to invest and pour in there. I've played with a little advertising in social media and didn't have a lot of good results
Okay.
on Facebook and LinkedIn, or I think it's mostly Facebook and a little bit of YouTube.
Okay.
Um, I'm a beginner. I don't know how to do that stuff. I know how to talk and coach
Yeah.
uh, and get together with people. I think as I get to know people,
Uh-huh.
I call them out. I know a guy who's struggling in a divorce situation right now, and um, there's a resentment in that situation that he's in, and he just posts stuff that's not kingdom building. It's not
Yeah.
uplifting. I
Yeah.
know he's angry about the custody and those pieces, but it's yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but be real on
Yeah.
social media. And I think that's where I struggled with the advertising that we were doing in the past. But right now, is YouTube social media in your categories?
I mean, depends what you're using social media for. I mean, when you say you're using advertisements, is it for attracting people to create one of these groups, or what are these advertisements for? When you say you're doing advertisements on social media.
I use them to get them to our lead magnets about
Okay.
we've got a kingdom family assessment that
Okay.
helps a man score, where am I?
All
And
right.
it's kind of safe because it's self-scoring,
Mhm.
and just reading through it gives you ideas on how to be better in our three pillars. Um, and from there, um, it's really the know, like, and trust factor of getting people to know, like, and trust Kingdom Family Leader, to know, like, and trust Brian.
Yeah. I mean, I faced this a lot with Facebook advertisements as well. I mean, you're trying to reach out to men who are as such successful, but then they're also feeling kind of empty inside. And what I feel is that for men in general, it's a little difficult to accept the fact that, yeah, everything is perfect on the outside, but what is this hollow feeling? So it can be a little dicey for a man to actually be clicking on something and then trying to go through the whole motions of that leads and whole thing. So it could be a different kind of problem, but yes. But when you say you have Facebook groups, and I'm sure those are a lot very engaging groups, right? You have a group of 8 people getting together on a Facebook page and then interacting, chatting, and doing everything. Now, the next point that I wanted to ask about was brotherhood, right? When you have a group of 8 men coming together, they have a lot of trust, they've built a lot of trust, they come together and have this brotherhood kind of feeling. But let's step outside a little. I mean, outside of your Christianity kind of connecting piece that you have. Okay, when a guy goes out, okay, trying to look for friends, what should a person be looking for out in the open?
Uh,
Because out in the open, they might be in the office or they might be pursuing a hobby like sports or art or dance or whatever they like, or they could be just living through their life, going through the motions.
yeah, I think you want to look for those qualities and characteristics of um, oh, what was the word? I lost it. Just the cheap word is goodness. Um, and
Yeah,
I think an important piece of it for success, and you've mentioned it a little bit, is just that common ground.
yeah.
Sports, whether you're competing or a fan,
Mhm.
um, bars come to mind, drinking, which I'm like, I don't like that, but if
Yeah.
you got that, I'm a sailor, so I sail
Okay.
with the yacht club. You can see my little sailboats down here.
Yes. Yeah.
So a lot of those guys are good acquaintances that I love to
Mhm.
hang out with, and we love to jibe and test each other. And
Yeah.
hey, I passed you, and
Yeah.
that. So really looking for um, genuine respect, just the kindness, gentleness, and that openness to really talk outside of the scope of what we're in. If we're in sailing, it's like, hey, tell me about your wife and kids. Is there an interest? Are there common? Because that can be a common thing.
Yeah.
I'm married with no kids. Okay, that's common. Let's have that commonality come together.
Yeah.
Or I have kids, or I'm divorced and have kids. So a lot of times it's that, and especially in some of those situations, that increases the isolation. I have so much responsibility due
Mhm.
to the divorce, due to having kids, due to the circumstances of life. Um, it all goes back to we've got to take care of ourselves first.
Yes.
And and I didn't take care of myself well for 35 years because
Okay.
I went in that cycle that led me to loneliness, led me to isolation. And that's our first pillar in the Kingdom Family Leader is bless yourself and
Yeah.
take care of your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. And part of that is the spirit part is that social part, being able to connect with other people in genuine ways. So I think another thing is just you said let's go beyond the Christianity thing, but it's really a movement or a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
That's sports or those kind of things. Maybe it's community service. Maybe it's the little league, or here it's the hockey
Yeah.
league. Even though my kids are in soccer, maybe it's the soccer league. Maybe it's um, the um, support center. We've got a dream center that our church sponsors downtown to um, entertain kids and train kids after school and
Yeah.
feed them. And then reaching out in that community to, hey, here's how to manage your finances better and building up. So I forget how Simon Sinek says it, but it's like have something bigger that people can come into a common ground on it and go for it. In the back of my head, there's that little fear for my original 35 years of, oh, that thing becomes my new identity
Yeah.
and making sure to show up vulnerable and whole because that wholeness in myself is where I get the success and the fulfillment and the completeness. That wholeness is like, oh, I'm okay.
Right. Now, creating friendships. I mean, friends don't just pop out of the air and just come into your life, right? There's some time that needs to be invested. You go out, speak to them, probably start once a week, then go out quite a few times. Now, since you bring a lot of these people together, right? Uh, it must take some time for them to get indulged into each other's and feel about each other, right? Uh,
It does.
what is the usual? I mean, obviously, there's no fixed time frame that it usually takes, but what's the trigger that you feel is the one that causes the first ounce of trust building, which triggers the first trust building activity? I mean, uh, what creates that bond? Because people are coming together, they might be talking about a lot of topics, right? the only thing holding them together is probably Christianity and a few other things that they have common in life, right? But what's the first thing that triggers trust?
I think the first thing is knowing that I'm being heard. So
Yeah.
for me to trust someone else, it's knowing that I'm being heard.
Yeah.
So for anyone that I talk to, it's like, what does it take to um, reach out in such a way that you feel like I'm listening to what you're saying?
Mhm.
And that's where it all starts. And it's fast forwarded in the context of a mastermind group, but even in our roundtable groups, it's a small group of men. It's
Yeah.
free, but we come together just to create that
Mhm.
herd from each other. And I might be facilitating it, but the guys that have been there for a month or longer, and we
Mhm.
just started it this year, are actually doing the same thing. They're welcoming the new guys in and asking, "Who are you? What's your marriage situation? What about your kid? What are you doing for work?" And
Mhm.
really inviting people in. And I've been struggling because I used to be the guy who's always processing in the back of my head what I'm going to say next
Okay.
instead of listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I've gotten caught recently because I've been throwing that out. Quit thinking and just be present with the person in front of me.
Mhm.
And they'll be like, huh. I tried to recite a verse on a interview the other day and I couldn't remember it because I thought of it
Mhm.
and I dismissed it because I'm like, I'm going to keep listening now
Yeah.
because this person right in front of me is important. So I think taking that position, that I don't know what to call it, that presence of mind for
Yeah.
yourself is a good way to connect to people. And sometimes being that way, you'll find I don't like this person. I love them and they're a good person, they're nice, but I've really listened and they don't sail, they don't ski, they don't have kids. They go drink a lot. I don't drink a lot. Our interests are far enough misaligned that, um, yeah. So,
Have you ever
but I
had
guess,
fallouts as well in these groups?
pardon.
Have you had fallouts in your groups?
The groups are pretty solid, but there is turnover over time. The Kingdom Family Leader is just a year old, so we just have one group right now, and we're growing more groups to expand that out. But I was in a group previously where I really thought it was forever. And they had 10 in a group
Uh,
and there was a community. I think he had 15 groups.
mhm.
And then twice a year we would get together with all 15 groups.
Oh, okay.
And our group was pretty solid for I was with that organization for 6 years. And then one guy would drop off and be like, "Oh wow, I miss him." And then I was like a lifer and I was like the second seniorest person. I've been in there the longest.
Mhm.
And I was like, when I started, I was only the fourth or fifth one to join. So I didn't go all the way to second right away. There was only 4 seats ahead of me. But one of the men in the group said at one of our retreats, we get a lot of time with the 8 of us because this online Zoom community,
Mhm.
the face-to-face time
Mhm.
is really the power of that
Yeah.
connection. So twice a year when we get together, we get to spend a lot of time with just our group
Yes.
and time with the other groups
Yeah.
because there's a lot of value in that community of men that were in that organization.
Yeah.
But he said, I'm in this mastermind and I'm in this other one with my business stuff and I'm here for one more year and then I'll decide if I'm going to keep going another year. And I was like, whoa. It's not a lifetime thing. I should have seen the signs. A couple of people left here and there.
Okay.
And at that point, I was like, I think I've had enough of this group. I
Mhm.
can call any of those. There are about 12 guys that were with me
Mhm.
over the years in that group. I could call any of them today,
Yeah.
and they would, if they didn't pick up, they would call me within 24 hours because we're that tight forever.
Yes.
And so there is turnover, but um, it's real. There's real relationships built in
Yeah.
that environment.
I mean, that's what friendship and building a circle is about. Um, Thanks to that. Have you used LinkedIn in ever trying to connect with people, and how is it working out? Because I mean, you're trying to specifically target a group of successful men. So, and professionally, if they're there, then probably they might have some feeling. But has it worked out on LinkedIn? I'm not sure how emotionally aware zone people are in when they're on LinkedIn, because it's a
Right,
completely professional
right.
network. So when you get on LinkedIn, I don't know if you're in that emotional space, but has it ever happened that people have reached out to you over LinkedIn, or you've put out something and people are reacting to that?
I've got a few. We post on LinkedIn regularly.
Mhm.
We post an article along with our YouTube reuse of that video, and
Okay.
then we've got a framework that we put out there, but I haven't gotten a lot of traction there. I'm starting conversations there, but kind of the way you said it is kind of revealing the personal is more of a Facebook nature of things.
Yes.
So I put the same content out there about, hey, here's where I struggled. Here's what I learned. Here's how I horribly raised my child the other day. Here's how I was mean to my wife, and kind of the steps of it's that vulnerability, and then what did I do, or that vulnerability, and what will I do next time because I screwed it up this time. So it's that teaching and that openness to build the know, like, and trust with men that I can help, that are looking for help. But I think LinkedIn has more of that masked
Yeah,
nature
that's right.
of I need to be look and I need to be knowable, likable, and trustable
Yeah.
in my profession, in my work, in
Mhm.
that platform. But I think as successful men, that's a better platform for
Yeah.
identifying and connecting with men. And um, so no fruit from that at this point, but we're not stopping it because it's getting connection and I can build connection there.
Thank you so much. You've talked about friendship, we've talked about brotherhood, we've talked about circles, we talked about creating community. Great stuff that we talked about. Thanks for joining me on this episode. Before we close, do you want to share any contacts where people can get in touch with you to get to know more about what you're doing?
Right. So the first step would be to take our assessment
Mhm.
as a kingdom family leader or somebody who just wants to be a better husband, father. You don't have to be a Christian, but husband, father, and leader at home, in business, and in the community.
Mhm.
And you can find that at kfl.vision/assessment. KFL is Kingdom Family Leader, kfl.vision/assessment. And that'll get you on our email list. It'll get you connected with me. The email list has links to have a chat with me and just say, help, Brian, or hey, Brian, I love what you're doing and want to learn more about you and want to connect and do that.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for joining me in on this episode. To the audience, if you liked what we were talking about, do give us a like. If you think you relate to something or you have something to share, do leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe this channel. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.